as an example of a loop, here I want to demonstrate kind of interesting practice how to dynamically generate HTML codes using PHP. So for this, I will create a new file, and I want to name it as dynamic table.php. So dynamic table.php. So let me click OK. And the dynamic table PHP, I will edit it. Okay, so let me edit this dynamic table.php. I will use a kind of skeleton code here. And before we think about PHP, later we will add some PHP, but let me temporarily just remove this PHP and think about simple HTML table where we have, let's say, 4 rows and 2 columns. So how to create this table using HTML? So using HTML, you can say table, and if you hit enter, it will create some skeletons here. And inside here, we wanna make 4 rows with 2 columns. So let's think about the first row. And then inside this first row, we have 2 columns, so TD. And then we have one more column. So let's say we have one more TD here. And we are going to repeat this 4 times. And in each cell, we want to add, let's say this one is row 1 and the column 1, that is this cell. And if you add the same value here, let's say this cell, row 1, but column is 2. So 3 more rows if you want to add. Actually, we can just copy and paste 2, 3. And each row, the row is changed. So let me say it's 2 and 2 and 3 and 3. And this one is 4 and 4. And to show some border lines, let me add attribute border equals to 1. So this is one simple table, and let's see how it looks like in the HTML format. So let's save it. Although there is no PHP code at all, it will just show you the HTML page. So go to FileZilla and upload it, and in your browser. So in your browser, we can see this loop as dynamic table.php. So we have these tables. Okay, now if we go back to this code editor, you can see that actually we are repeating this tr tag and td tags 4 times with a slight change. So can we use a loop just to repeat these 4 rows by using PHP code? So that's what we wanna do. So I will add a PHP block here. So here starting PHP and ending PHP here. This part is PHP block, and we need to repeat something. So I will use a for loop, and the syntax inside here we have 3 pieces of information, and this part is a repeating group, a repeating block. Okay, so we wanna repeat the same thing 4 times. So let me use the counter value of I equals to 1, and the stopping condition less than or equal to 4. And I want to increase the value of I every time I run this loop. So let's say you want to run similar statements 4 times. So let me delete everything. And here inside as a for loop, if you put like this, this is just HTML code. So can we add this HTML code inside the PHP block? Actually, you cannot. What you can do is you can enclose them as a kind of text, and if you want to echo them, that's fine. However, it looks pretty ugly and it's hard to read what you are echoing. So another way you can do it is Instead of echoing HTML code as a text with the echo function, we can just close PHP here. And then do not use echo because it is closed. This part is HTML, so we can just put HTML code here. And then this is end of your for loop curly brace. So before this, we can reopen PHP. So what happened here? Using this PHP block, we begin for loop. And here, another PHP block, we are closing this for loop. In the middle, it's not PHP block, so it's just HTML. Then what happened is this HTML code will be repeated based on this for loop. So let's look at the result first. How does it look like? So let's save it. And now let me just refresh these dynamic tables. Wow, we have something, but actually it's not complete because we are just repeating this row 1, row 1, column 2 4 times. If you check the view page source, it is very interesting. You can see that this TR with row 1, column 1 and 2 has been repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times because you have used this PHP code. So using this PHP opening loop and closing loop, you can repeat a certain HTML code. Okay, now what we have to still modify. If you look at this output here, the second row must be number 2 instead of 1. And the third row must be 3. So you need to change these row numbers, right? So if you go to your HTML code, it's hard-coded as 1, but is there any way we can dynamically change this? Yes, we can. Actually, this number must be matched with I, right? For each loop, we are increasing this counter, and this counter number can be used here. So what I want to do is, here, I want to change this with I. But can I just use I like this? No, because this is actually PHP part. So in the middle of HTML, if you want to add some PHP code, what you can do? You need to add PHP block. So although it's very short PHP block, you can add like this PHP statements with the PHP block. So you can insert this inside HTML as well. So you can just echo the value of I here instead of hard-coded numbers. And it's the same for the second columns. So let me change this one with this PHP code. And I want to see the result. Save it. And then let me refresh and upload it. And let me refresh. So can you see now it's changed, and if you check the page source, the row number has been changed with your PHP code. So in this example, I just demonstrate first of all how to add multiple PHP blocks in one file and how to combine HTML with your PHP code. And more importantly, how you can dynamically design the HTML page using this kind of PHP code. So now it is very important to understand that you can dynamically design your web pages using some programming. So the HTML is kind of static language, but by combining this with PHP, even in this example, you can dynamically change the number of rows. Later, when we retrieve some information from the database, you must know how many rows you have to add in your table. So depending on the number of rows in your actual data set, you have to dynamically change how to show this in your web page. And at that time, you will apply pretty similar techniques. More loop in PHP. It is very interesting loop called for each statements. So for each statements is used with a array variable. So do you remember array variable? So array variable is a variable that can keep multiple values. So to declare this array variable, we use array function. So in the first line, what we do is we have this $ARR variable, and this variable can keep 3 values, 1 and 2 and 3. So if you want to do some same task for each member of this array variable, you can use for each statements. So similar to for and while loop, a block, so in this curly brace block will be repeated. So then how can we repeat and when you need to stop? So it is a little bit different from for and while loop. There is a parenthesis after for each. Inside the parenthesis, the syntax is a little bit different, and you can see there are 2 variables. So $ARR, it's already used in here, so ARR keeps the 3 values. And followed by as, and there is another variable. So we use $sign and the value as the name of this variable. So how it works is we want to repeat the same block for each member. So how many times you repeat this depends on the number of values you store in this array variable. So in this example, we have 3 members. So this array variable will repeat 3 times. And then each loop, we will focus on each member of this array variable. So in the first loop, we want to focus on this value 1. Then this value 1 will be saved in this second variable. So in the first loop, the value, $value, will keep the first member of this ARR variable. So what will be assigned? This 1 will be assigned in value. So if you run this block, it will just echo value, and what will be the value of this variable? 1 will be printed. And in the second loop, now this variable, the value variable, will keep this second member too. So the output of this statement will be value, and it will type 2 here. And then similarly, in the third loop, the 3 will be saved here. So 3 will be printed. So value 3 will be printed. And then there is no member left. So after 3 times of looping, it will automatically stop. So that's how for each works. So let's test this for each loop in your directory. Let's create a new file. And now let's say it's for each.php. And let's select this PHP file and view and edit. And let's add some skeleton code. And here, I just want to slightly modify the examples used in your class note. So how about names as an array variable? So I will use $, names as an array variable. And instead of an array function, I can use just a numeric index. So how about 0 index? And I want to assign the first name as Mike. And similarly, I can add more members in this array variable. So I will copy and paste it. And then let me paste it one more time. So now let me change the index to 1 and 2. And then let me change the name as well. So let's say Sue. And let's say, how about Jenny? Something like that. So we have 3 members in this array variable. And then if you want to echo, let's say, how about greetings? Hello as a greeting for each person. What we can do is for each statement can be used. And there is a certain way we can focus on each member. So we will handle this shortly. And then let's make a block. So in this block, we want to echo and we want to say hello. And then for each member, we want to repeat this. So now the question is how to get the value of each array variable. So for this, inside for each, what we can do? Start with your current array variable. What's the array variable? Names is array variable. And we want to just choose one member in each loop. And we want to save it in new variable, right? So as Now here is another variable, and you can just name it as you want. So let's say name. So names is array variable, but this name is just will keep current name of this array variable. Does it make sense? Okay, so here hello, and you can concatenate this with name. And then we also want to add a line break. So let me add HTML line break here. And then I will close it with a semicolon. So I want to repeat this for each member of this names array variable. Does it make sense? Okay, then let's test it. Let me save it and upload it and your browser. Now let's change the file name to for each. So for each.php. So you can see I repeat this hello greetings for three main members of this names array variable.